County.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Welcome to Community Close-Up. I'm your host, Sharen Skelly, and our guest today is Renee Robbins, and she is the director of the Owen Sound Animal Shelter. Welcome, Renee.
Thank you.
And I thought we'd have Renee on today as a guest to talk about what it's like to be the operator of an animal shelter during COVID-19, when the world is sort of upside down and the rules are a lot different, and to be sort of responsible for all these animals in the shelter when people can't really come in to see them, and yet you want to adopt them out. So I think we've got a lot to talk about today. So, Renee, what has it been like to try and adopt these animals out when people really can't come into the shelter to see them?
Well, it's been really weird.
I bet you it has, especially with the cats.
It's been really weird. I mean, we've been very fortunate to be in a time that technology allows us to communicate with people just like we're doing now. I mean, we have been doing virtual meet and greets, which is weird but working, in which we can provide people with videos and pictures and information to help them determine whether or not the animal is suited or not. I mean, Todd and I are still working every day. In fact, we're working extra. So we're lots and lots extra. We have no staff, just us. Which is good in that we know the animals incredibly well. We're seeing them every day, all day, every day. And when somebody tells us what they're looking for, we have a pretty good idea who that should be. As opposed to, maybe we didn't meet them, right? I mean, this time I can guarantee that I have. There are some people who are hesitant to adopt, especially a cat. Because with a dog, we can bring them out in the parking lot. They can meet. They can see how they get along. Oh, my phone's ringing. Sorry, guys. With a cat, it's a little bit.
That's what happens when technology, we aren't used to it.
I don't know how to make it stop. We're just going to let it ring. With the cat adoptions, for the most part, people just have to trust our judgment, and that makes it tricky. We've had a few people who have decided to wait until the COVID's over to adopt, and we understand that. If you're home now and your timing is better, then we can work through the process. Of course, nobody's obligated to keep anything. I mean, we're not going to make you be stuck with it forever just because it hates you and you're stuck the COVID. I mean, we did genuinely have people who were concerned about that. What if it hates me? I mean, I should have a pretty good idea before we even talk about somebody. But we have been very fortunate. I have to be honest with you. When this all started, I was pretty darn panicked about not being allowed to allow people in the building. I thought if we can't adopt and animals are still coming in, we got a big problem. But it's worked out.
Yes, I've known some cats that really didn't like their owners, and that would be a horrible situation. When a cat doesn't like you, they don't like you.
I know. I mean, and we have a pretty good feel for the cats. I mean, if they're not going to like me, they're not going to like you, and I know that. I know that pretty quick.
But for the most part, adoptions do go very well.
They do. I mean, we've been very, very lucky. The good news also is that when people are home, they're spending more time with their pets and they have more time for them. They're not surrendering them as much, which is also good. Our numbers are down. We don't have strays coming in the same because people are home and they're not losing them. So luckily it's balanced out and we're not dealing with an influx, which was certainly a concern.
That does have its positives too. Yeah, people aren't, like, dogs aren't running away. They're staying at home and chilling on the sofa. So that's
Right. Well,
good.
their people are there.
Yeah. And now there was one thing though, we talked earlier about you used to get donations of pet food and bedding and things like that, but you're not getting those as often.
No. Unfortunately, besides not allowing people to come in the building, which is one thing, we also can't allow donated items that have been in a home. I mean, if a person wants to donate something that's come directly from the grocery store, we can sanitize it and use it. But if it's, used bedding, for example, we can't take it. People used to donate for us things like newspapers and, their linens so that we could use it for bedding. And we can't now. And still with the food, we have people who want, their dog doesn't eat it, so they want to bring it to us, and we can't take it. So certainly our donations are way down. It's just the way it is. I can't do anything about that. We also are not accepting volunteers. So we're working a lot of extra hours. We don't have dog walkers per se. It's just Todd and I. Luckily, my children are old enough that they're helping with that, and they're also not working. So that helps.
Why can't you have dog walkers?
The concern is that they're going to be handling leashes and collars and dogs and potentially poo bags and maybe need to use my washroom, and I can't let them in the building. It's easier to not have them here, to be honest. We also have to schedule time to have them here when adoptions are not happening. And we've just found that that's really difficult. So we're just doing it ourselves. And the good news is there's not a lot of dogs, so it's working out okay.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Now, are there any kittens? Because this is usually when you have the house is just, with kittens. There's kittens everywhere, every corner of the shelter.
Well, to be honest with you, I have a couple, but they have homes waiting for them. We, in fact, have a waiting list of people looking for kittens for the first time ever. So people, I guess, are lonely and looking for cats. I don't know. I'm good with it.
Too.
Yeah, it's good.
It is good, but that's really odd because,
it is very strange to have a waiting list for kittens in the springtime and not enough kittens is very, very weird.
You're having kittens dropped off at the door. That's just very odd. Where are those kittens going?
That's right. I don't know. They're not going here. Maybe people are taking the time to find them homes themselves.
Perhaps, yes. Maybe, that could be.
Yeah, well, certainly I'm concerned about the influx of kittens in the future. Vet clinics are not operating unless it's an essential service. They're starting to now, but they weren't. And even now, not regular. So a lot of animals are not being spayed and neutered. So of course that's a worry for me. We have had trouble ourselves getting animals fixed. We luckily are deemed a little more essential than the average person. So we are getting in to get surgeries done, but it's a challenge. So I'm thankful that the numbers that we have are not huge because we'd be stuck.
Exactly. I wonder if animals are getting their rabies shots and all those things as they're supposed to be.
They have not been. I'm hoping that now things are starting to move. It's hopefully getting better, but they have not been.
And heartworm medicine?
Yeah, and flea medication and deworming,
Because that's just like they say children are perhaps not getting caught up on immunization. Well, I think of the dogs not getting their heartworm, their rabies, all that stuff. Absolutely. And that's important. Ugh. So those are things that we're going to have to be worried about. Another thing is if you're not getting the donations of food and bedding and those sorts of things, you may not need it so much right now. But, what's the future like as far as opening? Do you know reopening the shelter?
Well, the concern here I don't know if you've ever been in the building. It's a very small space. You can see my wall from here.
Yes, it's not big.
We do not have a lot of room for the public. In fact, we don't have a lot of room for anything.
No.
And social distancing is darn near impossible in this building, especially when we allow more people in than one. I mean, any kind of group in here and we're full up. So in saying that, I suspect we're going to be later on the opening list.
Mhm.
It's also something in our minds to keep aware of. I mean, COVID is one thing that we're certainly watching out for, but we have people right now who are eager to adopt and they want to jump on it because they're looking for warm, fuzzy feelings, right? And we want to make sure that they're not rushing in on those adoptions. And we think that as time goes on, that's going to be a little bit easier to weed through as well. I mean, we've again been really fortunate. The screening process has been working its way through, but we don't want anybody just rushing in because they can, right? And taking the first thing to see. I mean, let's be honest, a cute little kitten is pretty cute and you might want it because you feel sad and
Yes.
something, right? I mean, we want to discourage that as well. So, and we're not in a giant rush. We're certainly encouraging people to not forget about us. Send us an email if you're looking for something in particular. We're trying to do most of the adoption process online, which is weird, but it's working. I mean, just take the time to talk to me for a few minutes and we can sort it out. It's really what it comes down to find somebody the right pet.
Do you have any pocket pets in there right now?
Not today. But we did have a bit of an influx when things first started. We had a bit of a rush on them, which was weird. There goes my phone again. My apologies. I don't know how to make it stop. We did have an influx, but they've been adopted.
Yeah, they're a good pet.
They are.
So,
There's something I would recommend for those people looking for something right now.
yeah, small, easy to take care of. Good
Exactly.
companions, and if you're going back to work, they're not hard to leave behind, like at home, for a couple of hours.
I am worried about that. All the dogs that are getting all the love and attention with their people at home, who are going to be real sad when they go back to work. I am a bit worried about that.
Exactly. The cats can hardly wait to see people go to work.
They're waiting.
They're just not happy. The cats, if you think your cat doesn't like you, it's not that they don't like you. They're just tired of seeing you all the time. They could use a break.
That's right. Leave them alone.
I really do enjoy watching the pictures of your turtle.
Oh, thank you.
Renee has a turtle. Oh, what is it anyway? It's a turtle? Is that a tortoise turtle?
She's a red-footed tortoise, and she is 12. She's a great pet.
I've never seen a turtle looking inside a fridge before.
Oh, she does. She is a crazy little creature.
I love that turtle. I mean, she looks like a good pet to have.
She is. She was a rescue, and certainly I would recommend if anybody is looking for an exotic pet to check out the rescues. The most important thing with a tortoise especially is they live 50 years. I'm probably not going to live 50 years. So, I mean, she's a 12-year-old, and as it is, I'd be pushing it to get another 40 years, but I'm hoping.
Well, Renee, you've got the best pets, and they take the best pictures, and they go on some incredible adventures at your house with your children and you and your husband. I just love looking at the photos.
Well,
but back to the shelter.
Yeah.
The shelter doesn't run for free.
No.
And, just like, any kind of, organization that we talk about, that we cover here on Community Close-Up, they can use money. How are you faring?
I mean, we've not been able to have any fundraisers, obviously.
Right.
We discussed doing some virtual stuff, and to be honest with you, it just didn't feel right for me to be asking. We understand that there's a lot of charities and organizations who need help, and I just didn't want people to choose me over someone else. Isn't that? I mean, that's just the honesty of it. It just didn't feel right. We are okay for food and animal care. What will suffer is our spay neuter fund. Our medical fund, our spay neuter medical fund, covers all veterinary expenses. We are fortunate that we are okay right now, but certainly if this continues, that's going to be something that's in trouble. When that money runs out, it then comes out of other monies, which then is a problem because that money's not there. I mean, so far so good, but certainly we do need donations, and I do want people to give if they have it and they want to. I mean, by all means, we'll absolutely take it and appreciate it. I don't see any virtual fundraisers up and coming in the near future. Having said that, that may change. Right now, we're okay.
Well, I would suggest then that anyone who is out there, a viewer, who is interested in donating food, but it has to be something that you've purchased that's new, because it can't be something you've already opened and had in the good old days when we could do that, something you've had in your home. So if you're out shopping and you have, because I know a lot of people are hurting, but if you have the resources to do that,
Exactly.
then, if that's something that you would like to do, then just, buy some extra food and drop it off at the door. Is that something? Yeah.
That works.
And then you can wipe it off and bring it in, because, you are another organization that will need some help in the future. But as you say, you don't want to be asking yourself, but I'll do the asking for you.
Well, thank you.
So, and then another idea is if someone out there has a desire to do a virtual fundraiser, if they sell something, some product that they're doing, or they want to do a fundraiser for themselves, and then raise the money and give it to the shelter, Owen Sound Animal Shelter. That's an idea, but that's if they want to.
Right.
There's, because as you say, there's other charities out there that need the money, and you are one of them. You're not, I don't mean charity, but your organizations, that need the money, but you are also one of them. You personally don't want to ask for it, but I'm just telling the viewers that you are also an organization that could benefit from donations, just like everyone else. And you are worthy. I mean, you're feeding the animals, you're giving them shelter, and if needed in the future, of course, you do the spay and neuter, which is also a great service. When I was going to say the warmer weather comes, and we're sweating here, but when the warmer weather comes in, I mean, usually in July, I don't know why I think of July. I know, because I adopted a kitten there one time in July, and it was like there were kittens everywhere. And that's when the spay and neuter really gets wound up. Then, you'll need the money if we're opening up by then, and the vets can't afford to be doing all this for free.
Yeah.
So, we can only ask people to do stuff for free for so long.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. So you also do, how do you word it? Animal control, is that what you would refer to it as? So what's that? Yeah. How much work like that are you doing these days?
A lot. We're working a lot.
And what do you cover?
We covered the municipalities of course, Owen Sound, Saugeen Shores, Hanover, Georgian Bluff, and Saugeen First Nation.
Oh my goodness, I did not realize that.
Yeah.
So you do cover a great deal of territory. My goodness.
Yeah, we do.
So having a contract would keep you busy.
It sure does.
24/7?
Always, yeah.
Oh, the two of you, you
Yeah.
and Todd.
Yep.
And that's just the two of you.
Yes. We're very busy people.
So what does that entail? Just you would get called for what kind? Give me an example of a call you would get.
Everything from a found dog or a found cat
Mm-hmm.
to an animal maybe who's been hit by a car or in some kind of medical distress. We often get calls about dog bites or a neighbor issue where the dog is coming onto another neighbor's property, things like that. Right now, the primary issue we are seeing is neighbor disputes, actually, because people are home. So, for example, your neighbor's dog is coming onto your property. It's maybe going to the bathroom there, or it's barking or acting aggressively. We're getting a lot of that.
And what would you do?
Well, there are bylaws in place that allow us to lay charges if necessary. Usually it doesn't get to that point. Usually it's a warning fixes the problem, but we are the bylaw enforcement in the dog area and the cat area, so we can lay charges. We do patrols. The patrols are, of course, more in the Saugeen Shores beach area to make sure dogs are not on the beach. Right now, that's not happening because the beaches are closed, which saves me a bit of work. But we do still have to drive around and make sure there's nobody running or causing a problem. So we do a fair bit of that too. We go nonstop pretty much all day. Different areas for sure.
And then you also do the shelter work.
Yeah. Yeah.
On top of that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So do you work a lot with the police?
Yes, a fair bit. Depending on the calls, I mean, sometimes they handle it entirely. Sometimes they have us handle it entirely. We talk to each other a lot.
Wow. So now when you said a dog bite,
Yes.
what would you be called out to? Do you actually go out to the scene?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, I didn't realize that you would go out and then you would call the health unit.
Yes.
Yeah, you would do that.
Depending, I mean, obviously there's a variation in the degrees of the bite. Obviously, if it's something serious, the person would probably attend the hospital, in which case the hospital can do the paperwork instead of the health unit. But in most cases, we have to follow up. We work very closely with the health unit as well in those cases.
You're busy people. So as far as the shelter right now, have you got very many animals in there up for adoption?
Not too many, which is awesome. And I'm touching wood as I say that. I mean, we've been really touching it. Because if I leave here and I get 5 new cats, I'm going to be sad.
Me. Yeah. So if people aren't dropping them off, how are you? They're just what, strays?
Most strays get reclaimed. We have a few kittens that were born here at the shelter where their mother came in pregnant and delivered here. We have a few that have come in as owner surrenders for various reasons. Those ones are, of course, just getting ready to be adopted. When they come in as a stray, they have to stay with us a reclaim period.
All right.
To make sure there's not an owner, right? In saying that, because things are weird, the reclaim period is longer now. We've decided to stretch it. Understandably, people may have a harder time getting a hold of us. They may be afraid to leave the house. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
So typically a reclaim period is about a week. What we're doing now is 2 weeks and beyond. So when an animal comes in, they're spending longer with us. Part of that as well is for a quarantine. We do a quarantine anyway of 2 weeks to ensure they're healthy, to make sure they get their vaccines and get their vet check. but we're taking it a little extra longer just to be sure that there's nothing else going on. I mean, I don't want to use the word COVID because animals are not supposed to be carriers.
Yes.
But we're doing it just in case, because let's just face it. I mean, we have to do a quarantine anyway, so we're just doing it all, right? I mean, rabies is not a big concern in the area, but of course, that's one of the things we're quarantining for. Same with any upper respiratories and distemper. I mean, it's going to sound strange, but zoonotic diseases like COVID is something that Todd and I deal with every day. We're super well practiced in keeping the public safe.
Exactly.
And keeping themselves safe and keeping animals safe. It's what we do and have been doing for 21 years. So, I mean, it's kind of second nature for us, which, I mean, we're thankful for that. This isn't weird for us at all. This is our everyday, other than the door shut, which, I mean, to be honest, kind of makes it a little easier. It makes it
exactly
easier to control. I mean, on a good day, we're concerned about the public safety. And on a good day, we're concerned about the animal safety. So, I mean, it's just a little easier to be able to shut the door. The rest is the same.
And have you got very many dogs?
No. Again, touching wood when I say that. It is springtime. It is rainy season. Rain and spring makes dogs run away. We talked about that earlier. You asked if I had any dogs today. Not yet.
But they're home watch TV.
Exactly. Like I said, it helps that the
Rogers TV at home.
Exactly. They're all watching. I mean, I'm hoping that maybe people have learned some tips to keep their pets happy and keep them home. Maybe this will be a new trend. I hope that
well, we can hope that people have learned things, but
I'm hoping.
Yeah, well, there is hope.
Yeah.
So if our viewers are watching and if we want them to donate things to your shelter and drop them off, where can I can tell them where the shelter is?
We're 2125 18th Avenue East in Owen Sound, up in the industrial park.
And what is your email if they want to send you an email about maybe doing a fundraiser for you?
Or we can take e-transfers too, which is easy.
Okay.
The email address is OSAS, like Owen Sound Animal Shelter, OSAS, all small, @bmts.com.
Well, that's all great information, Renee. And as far as the heat now has started, so I guess we'd recommend people make sure their pets are in the shade, right?
Yep.
And lots of water.
Yep.
And don't let the dogs run free so that they overheat. And I guess the big thing is so that you don't have to do it, get your pets spayed and neutered. So thank you very much, Renee, for being a guest. Say hello to Todd for us, and thank you for all the work you do in our community with our pets and stray animals in the communities. Join us again here on Community Close-Up on Rogers TV, and I'm Sharen Skelly. See you for now.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
I lost my family 3 years ago. You sure you want to do this?
I'm gonna kill every last one of them.